everybody, to this holiday card Zoom workshop. At least we're able to be here doing this by Zoom. And what perfect weather today to have an indoor project. So my name is Brees, and I'm working with the library to provide the workshops. In the past, we had them in person, and I'm looking forward to whenever we can do that again. But for now, I'm really grateful that we can do this through the library. So today we're going to make this card. You actually have supplies in your kit to make 2 cards. So this is just a nice, simple design, and then it has a pop-up feature in the middle. This greeting inside is optional. That was just something I thought of, but anyway, we'll get to the details later. So this is the card design for today. And I want to start by going over the supplies that you would have gotten in your kit, and also the craft tools that you'll need. So the supplies, you got 2 white, these are 5x7 blank cards. And for the future, they sell these at craft stores like Michael's, AC Moore. So if you like what you're doing with this, I encourage you to keep doing it. I've been making handmade cards for over 20 years, and believe me, they're so special. When people receive them, they really like them. So you would have gotten 2 blank cards and envelopes, and all these nice gold papers. That's the fun part about this, is seeing what craft supplies you can find in the stores. There's a lot of nice ones. So this is called gold foil paper, and it came in different designs, so that will vary among you which design you have. Sorry for the glare. I'm looking at the image here, and there's a lot of glare. You would have gotten the gold foil paper. This is textured gold paper, which is kind of fun to use. And then one of these are just 2 different shades of gold. So you would have gotten one or the other in the kit. And then this is just something I found at the craft store. Just white twine, but it has the gold looped around it. So that'll be fun. Sometimes the little details can really add a lot. So that's this paper. Then you also got some decorated paper with holiday designs. And also you got 2 crystals. I believe yours are yellow. And then you also got some nice snowflakes. These are just more simple ones that I have, but you have some snowflakes that I believe have like a sticky back on them. So we'll be using those later. And also the most important thing for the design, you got this template. This is the template for the insert of the pop-up card. So we'll start with the template. And please, at any time during this, please, I will stop periodically and ask if there's any questions, but also feel free. I don't want anyone to feel lost at any point, and I hope you just have fun with it. This will be recorded, so you can always go back and rewatch parts of it. So we'll start with the pop-up card design, and just so you can see, this will end up like this. It's just a simple design. I just recently started looking at pop-up cards on Pinterest. That's where I got a lot of ideas. And so they're fun. I'll probably do some more in the future. So anyway, for the pop-up, so take your template. We're gonna start working on the design inside first. So this is actually the design for 2 cards. So the first thing is, I think your copy does have a cut line, but just to double check, I would go ahead and fold your paper in half That's one thing about this design is since it is boxes, we just want to do the straight edges and straight lines as much as possible. But so fold your paper in half, and hopefully these are the cut lines. Hopefully the cut lines are parallel to the bottom. If they aren't, we can adjust for that, but that's what is ideal if you have the cut lines parallel, because then that'll be creating the boxes. So go ahead and cut your paper in half right along the fold. So then you'd just be working with one of the templates. All right, and now fold. There's marked the fold line. So go ahead and fold it in half. And the main thing is that you now have these, the design is 3 boxes. The dimensions are 1 inch, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. And by the dimensions, I mean that the line is 1 inch long, both lines, and they're spaced 1 inch apart. So it's creating a box shape with the equal dimensions. Same for 1 1/4 inch. Those are 1 1/4 inch long, each of them, and they're spaced 1 1/4 inch apart. Just if you want to recreate this design, maybe save one of the templates. It's easy to redo. You can just copy this or just redraw lines on whatever paper you're using. So that's the basic idea. So now we'll start by cutting along to create the first box. So you're just going, and I would recommend using the point of your scissors just to help get you just to the edge. So you're just cutting, use the cut lines, the solid straight lines. So you're just cutting both, and that's the first box. Now, go ahead and fold that over and try to fold it so it is even at the top. So you're looking at the square corners. Okay, and just to show you how the whole thing will work, does anybody have any questions so far? I don't want to get too far ahead. Please let us know if you have any questions. Okay, so this is the first box. Shape has been cut. Now you're fold over just to create this crease. Now open up the paper and you'll see this is going to pop. This is the idea, is it's going to fold inward. And so you just start out, crease this at the same fold line. And the reason why we creased it before was so now we can see what we're doing here. So now you want to give it a good crease so it's folding out. Okay, that's starting to create the box shape. So it's the crease there, and then on the box, and then on the other side. And it's good to use a ruler just to help keep things straight. Otherwise, I found that it's pretty easy to fold it like not fully straight and at 90 degrees. So that's it. That's the basic idea for the pop-up card. So you can see where that came from. It's just the box cut. And now it's folding in to create the box shape. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, now we'll just continue and do the other 2 boxes. So we're cutting just to the edge. And if it's a little off, we can correct it later. But if you find that one cut is a little longer than the other, you can try to even them up. as much as possible, just try to have 2 even cuts along those lines, and then go ahead and fold out the box so it's even at the top and bottom. Now open up the paper, and you can see the fold line. That's where you want to bring it out toward you and create the creases on each side. Okay, now we have 2 boxes. Now we're going to finish and do the last box. Okay, fold it back. Same process as for the other boxes. And now creasing on the other side. So it pops out toward you. And then you can double check how you're doing. The card should be able to fold over like that. And that's it. So now it has the 3 box shapes. And this card, oh, let's see, I forgot to do the other side here. And so that's how this will end up. So you don't have to worry about the writing on this side. This will end up being the insert to go inside the card. It folds fairly flat, and then it'll be glued on each side. And then that's the pop-up design. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so let's put that aside for now. And now we'll start on the front cover. So just to remind you, this is the design. Just a simple design. A lot of times simple design works when you just have, nice materials. That can just make the difference. So this, and this is, if you notice, so the gold foil paper just looks great for the tree. And then if you notice the texture, just there's a little detail for the tree there. And then you all have more larger snowflake on top. Okay, so now let's do the front of the card. So for this, we're using the gold paper. This is about 4.5 to 5 inches tall on one side. So if you can find that side. And that's how it will go. So, and I tried to cut the pieces for the kits as straight as possible, but just see where your straight edges are. You might have one side, like on this piece, you can check for straight edges, just put the paper right up next to the card. You can see that lines up really well. So those are straight edges there. Then on this side, no, this is where I had cut it. This is probably a straight edge that came with the paper. product. And then this is where I cut it. So just keep an eye out. You want to correct. So any straight edges that you have, you start with those because that will really just help. So your page should be about 4.5 or 5 inches. So that will go here. And now the width that looks good, I think, is about 3.5 inches. So I would turn your paper over and mark about 3.5 inches. It's really just whatever looks pleasing, but you'll find that there's just certain proportions that always just work. 5x7 is one of them, 4x6. You know, a lot of cards just come in those same dimensions over and over again. So for this size, 5x7 card, this will be 5 inches by 3.5. And so just make a mark for that 3.5, and now you're just drawing the line where to cut. And you'll see on one of some of the gold paper actually has lines on the back that will help you cut straight. So here, as much as possible, just try to cut it, you know, at right angle to create that square corner and a straight line. So that's what you're looking for the background. And it's funny, I have found things are more visible on this area on the top and right. If you have a cut that's not as good, you can almost hide it in plain sight. You can see this is the straight edge. This is a little less straight, and you put it on the left side and it's not as visible. Any lines on the top and right edge are just naturally, my husband said, it's called persistence of vision. Your eye just normally goes to the right side as opposed to the left side. So you can almost hide, a less straight cut on the left side. Just put it on the left. So this is the background. So now whatever type of adhesive you have, glue is fine. That'll work fine. Go ahead, and if you have any scrap paper that you want to use, you can put the gluing, put this on scrap paper. For this, I'm going to use glue stick, or if you have double stick tape, any of those three will work fine. You're just putting the background paper onto the card. And I will bring out my scrap paper. And one thing, you want the adhesive as much as you can, you want the edges to stay down. So pay attention to whatever glue. It just helps make it look better. So as much as you can, you have it out to the edges, and then line it up. You just have an idea beforehand, before you put it down, where it's going. So for this, 5 inches wide, the center line would be about 2.5 inches. So that can just help you visually to line it up. You could measure and make marks if you want to, if you think that would help. I just usually kind of guesstimate. And another thing to point out, you could put it like this would be directly in the center of the card with equal on top and bottom, would be like that. But I just tend to put it up a little from there. I just like how that looks. It's totally up to you. Now just watch where your edges are going. Try putting one edge down first, and then go from there. Wherever you have a good one edge down that's even. And most of these you can readjust, glue or glue stick. You can just lift the paper up and readjust it. And once you have an edge down, go from there and just smooth it out. Go from the center out to the edges, and then that'll help keep it smooth, have the paper go on smoothly. So hopefully this is working. And that's one good thing about a handmade card. They're not really supposed to look perfect. You know, it's handmade. So in a sense, that's part of the charm of it. You know, just it's kind of forgiving, you know. When people receive it, they know it's handmade. So they're not looking for perfection. It's just, you know, the thought that counts. Okay, so that's about as good as I'm doing right now. So you can see it's slightly off, but once you have the design on there, it's not going to catch your eye that much. Okay, so that's the first step, is the background. And the next step is to take the gold foil paper. Does anybody have any questions? Sarah, are you there? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, that's okay. I just want to make sure everyone was still there. I can't hear anything.
Yep, no, so far there's no questions in the chat box.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so this is the foil paper. And we'll use this to create go back to the design, just to remind you where we're heading. So this will be a triangle shape for the tree. In this case, the triangle is 2 inches wide at the bottom. Yours can be any size. If you want it nice and big and fat, you can make it larger. But to follow this design, this is 2 inches at the bottom. So we'll go ahead. And I used to eyeball things a lot more, but I realized sometimes it just really pays to take the time and measure. So in this case, I would go ahead, use the foil paper and turn it over. And now just measure 2 inch wide at the base. So that'll be the bottom of the tree. And for this, what I had done, it is roughly 3 inches high. I'll just use the whole paper here. And so that's the base is 2 inches. Now go on the top, and you want to find the center just so the tree comes out even. So that's 2 inches there. And so mark the 1 inch, because then you'll just be cutting each side from the base. I don't know if you can see the base mark 2 inches here, and then the top in the center is 1 inch. So actually the best way, just draw the line so you know where you're cutting. So we're connecting the 2 inch mark and the 1 inch mark. Oops. Okay. And we'll do that on the other side, just so the tree is symmetrical. Like I said, I've tried to cut things just visually and it doesn't always work. Okay. So now we'll go from the one side to the top and the other side to the top. Okay. Now you have the tree shape. And again, this can be any adhesive will work on this. For this, I'll just use glue. And actually, before you put the adhesive on, just have an idea of right where you want to put it before you're gluing. So you'll have that, then the snowflake on top, and then the base. Oh, actually, maybe it's better to, okay, even better, don't glue that yet. It's fine if you did already. We will do the textured paper for the tree, and then that'll go beneath this. So we'll cut the textured paper next. If you want to do it that way, it's totally up to you how you design it. I'm just showing you the way that I did this card. Okay, so for this, you can see the length that you'll need, just visually where it goes in the card. You can turn it over. And just mark the height. Actually, you can go, they'll be a little stronger. Sometimes I'll put something underneath something else. Then it's smoother. Then you don't have two edges trying to meet right there. So I'm actually going to figure this is going to be glued under the tree. So the length should be about there. And what I did, I actually cut and then I folded it just to give it some extra dimension. I like texture and dimension on the cards. It just adds a lot. So now this is cut, just a small triangle. And then I just kind of folded it into a tree trunk. And then again, use glue or glue stick. I think I'll use glue. So now the first thing, I think we'll put this, so it's going to go, I think I'm just going to glue it right on this tree. So first we'll create the roll. If the glue ever comes out. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So just kind of rolling that. And it can be as thin or as wide as you like. And now I'll just put a little bit on the edge. So you can see how this will end up. So you glue it on the center. And then that will get glued there onto the card. And then figure, maybe get out your snowflake. I think the ones you have in the kits are larger. So get out your snowflake and see, before you glue it down, just see how it's all going to fit. So that's what I would recommend. Take out your snowflake so you can place it, just to get an idea of how you want it to lay on the card. And then once you know that, sometimes I'll put a little, use the ruler to kind of line up where I'm gluing something. So then just go ahead and glue the tree onto the card and then add the snowflake on top. And that's it for the front. So nice simple design. And then I'll show you a variation just so you get ideas. Okay, so this is the, and again, just keep an eye on the centering. It just helps, something that you don't want your eye to be distracted by something being, you know, sometimes things can be distracting if they're not quite lining up. So I just try to avoid that as much as possible. So then you're trying to line up the bottom of the tree. And that's it. So that's it for the tree part. And then just add your snowflake on top. I cut my snowflake out of colored paper, so that's why it has that. Okay, and then let me just show you. So another variation, this tree is just a little more modern. This is kind of taller and thinner, which is also kind of a nice look. So that's part of the fun, is just playing around with it, trying different things. You know, it's just paper, so just have fun with it. And then in this case, I just used a silver pen and just drew on some of the snowflakes. And these snowflakes, I happen to have a snowflake punch. If we were in person, I would be passing this around the room so you could create your own snowflakes out of whichever paper. But this again is from a store like Michael's or AC Moore. So then you can punch snowflakes out of anything. So that's the front. Okay, so now we have the card front and the insert. So now the last step on the card is just adding the paper to the boxes. And that's why this paper is in here. These different designs. And so just mix and match however you like. So whatever you used on the front of the card, use something different inside. So I'll just show you. And again, this is the finished product, looks like this. And then so the next step that we're doing now is cutting the paper to put almost as wrapping for the boxes. And then the string is just on top for a kind of like a ribbon, just suggesting a ribbon there. And then whatever words. I found that these joy, love, peace. So one variation would be you could write joy, love, peace right on the boxes or on the paper. And then I wrote, may the holidays bring all good gifts to you. But whatever your message is. And another option, I always like showing options, is to cut, if you wanted to, the inner insert could be shortened. You could just cut it. Oops. You could, of course, you'd cut it straighter than that, but you could just cut the insert and then have that fit right into the card and leave more space on the side for the writing. But this version, this is just the width of the page, just goes all the way out there. Okay, so the next part that we'll do is adding the paper onto the boxes. Does anybody have any questions?
I was wondering if you could use wrapping paper.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes, absolutely. Wrapping paper would look great because it's trying to mimic a gift box.
Yeah.
So wrapping paper would look great. For that, a design that's smaller, it's funny you mentioned that. I did look and see what wrapping paper I had on hand. And I happen to have, this is an example. just happen to have this wrapping paper. So it totally depends on the print. You know, some designs are large, you know, large Santas or something might not look good if you used just a 1.5 inch part of it. So this I just happen to have has squares that happen to fit this larger box really well. So as an example, the wrapping paper that I happen to have would fit like that on the box. So
And
actually I'll use that.
Do you
What's
think
that?
do you think a glue stick is best for that since the wrapping paper is kind of thin?
You know, I think I would use glue just because it's stronger. I mean, yeah, you're right. If the wrapping paper is too thin, then glue stick would bleed through the top. If the paper is too thin, then you would see glue bleeding through. So double stick tape would work. I feel like double stick tape and glue are probably stronger than a glue stick. I'm just afraid that a glue stick with the bending, and I'm not sure, maybe it's just the ones I've used. The one I have here is Elmer's board something. So I feel like glue and double stick tape are probably the strongest because the card will be, you know, opening and shutting. So anyway, but that's up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so now we have these box shapes. So now I'll show you, just as an example, let's use, so now just get an idea and pick, cut a few different shapes and then just try out the combinations, you know, or you could leave one white and put a crystal on it. You know, it's just, like I said, just have fun with it. That's the fun part, is just thinking up different things. Okay, so this one, we know the dimensions are 1 inch. So we'll use this paper on the top. So then just turn it over and mark. You can see, and again, look for those straight edges. They'll come in handy. So on this paper that I have, I can see, I think this is like a straight corner, square corner. That's what I look for, because I know I've cut the paper. So I look for the square corner just to start with. So you just line it up and you can just mark it visually how long it needs to be. And it can be a little wider, you know, top to bottom. You can go a little larger. That'll work fine. So just mark where you want to cut. Or like I said, we know that it's 1 inch high. So you can do it that way. If anything, you want to cut the paper a little larger. You don't want it to be smaller. You wouldn't want to see the white edge, you know, behind the paper. So, so in this case, I'll just mark roughly at the 1 inch, and then I marked that edge. And then, so just go ahead and cut out the paper for the first box. And then you just fold it in half, and that will fit right on top of the box. And then again, I would recommend either glue or double stick tape. I think for this, like, actually, yeah, if the paper's thick enough, yeah, either one would work. And then just watch the edge. You just want the edge to be short enough where you can fold. You know, you want this to go on. I'll glue it right on there. And then the card still needs to be able to fold. So that's it for the boxes. We'll just go ahead and then cut the shapes. And like I said, the card will be opening and closing, so you definitely want it to be a good adhesive there. And there's a little, yeah, as much as possible, you're just lining it up straight. And that's it. So now we'll do the other 2 boxes. And then I'll show you this if you want to, that's totally optional. There is white and gold string in your kit. So I'll also show you how to add this on the top. And this is the one where if you have a toothpick, that will come in handy just to kind of detail gluing on the string, just so the glue goes right where you want it to go and nowhere else. All right, so now we'll just finish the boxes. I think I will use this on the bottom. So yes, I understand the woman mentioned about glue. If you had thinner paper, like this is kind of thinner than this, this is more cardstock paper, and this is much thinner wrapping paper. So yeah, it's possible if you use glue, it might kind of wrinkle up. So I think I'm going to try glue stick on this one. And then again, just pay attention to those edges. I kind of put the glue stick out to the edges, just so it, you know, let me just line it up as much as you can. So this is the wrapping paper version on the bottom. It works pretty well. And in this case, this paper is going out over the edge of the box. It doesn't even look that bad, really. So it's kind of forgiving. And then the last box, does anybody have any questions? Guess I'll use this this paper for the last box. So again, you're just measuring the dimensions. So this middle box is, the dimensions are 1 1/4. So that would make the length roughly 2.5 inches long and 1 1/4 deep. So then you just cut that. Let me see what I'm doing here. Yep. Then fold it in half. And that'll be the last box. So that's how it ends up. And then, as you can see, these inner parts need to fold back to stay on the card. So the boxes fold toward you, and then the inner parts, the inner white strips, fold away from you. So then that's the final look of it. See, now this one I cut a little too small. I will recut that in the future. If you can see, as it's going on the box, you can see the white edges. So I'm not going to glue this one down. So this is an example of what not to do. This is just a little too small for that box, and I'm getting the white edges around it. So I'll definitely recut that one. So anyway, that's the 3 boxes. Now I'll show you the last part. I think it's easier to add the gold string before the box, before this is, we'll add the gold string before we put the insert inside. Okay, so now hopefully everybody's about the same place. So we have 3 boxes. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. Just leave that one blank. And now we'll take the gold string, and this will end up, I'll just show you in general how this is going. You can fold this box out of the way for now. So this will go starting at the back, that'll get glued on the back. The string will get glued on the back, and then it's going up the middle of the one side, it'll get glued. Then it'll go on the top, and you twist it. That'll add that little kind of ribbon. If you can see all this. So the string goes up one side, twist it, and then it'll come down the other side, gets glued on the side, and then glued around the back. So just put your string, just so you can estimate what the length is that you'll need. I will do this and then measure the length and see about what it is. So if you cut a piece of string roughly, this one I just did 7.5 inches long. That should be enough to do that design. And now I am going to use this toothpick. This will just make it easier. And so the first thing is we'll glue the string. I think we'll first glue it on the side and then on the back. On the side so we can see right where it's going. And you can put the glue either on the box itself or on the string. Either one is fine. So I'm starting out putting some glue just on one side of the string. And this is where scrap paper comes in handy. Yeah, glue down to the bottom. And not too much, just so it doesn't get all over everything. So now just as much as possible up the one side, and you can always wipe off wherever it's going stray, and wrap it up the back. And this is where toothpick can come in handy just to help wipe off excess. So it's attached in the back and up one side. Okay. And then let it set a little bit. We're going to be twisting. So just give it a minute just to stay in place. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Alice, we do have one.
Oh, okay, sure.
But it's more general than technical.
Okay.
For with AC Moore gone in Newton, which craft store location would you recommend?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I didn't realize AC Moore was gone already. Wow. Well, I live in Vernon, so I tend to use Michael's. Actually, there's Joann's Fabric, which is pretty good. They deal, you can tell from the name, Joann's Fabric deals more with fabric. They do have some paper and scrapbook type supplies, so I have gone there. So I live in Vernon, so I tend to go down Route 23. That's in Riverdale. So that's a possibility. Joanne's in Riverdale on Route 23. Another one is Michael's. That's in Wayne, a little farther south on Route 23. Michael's is very good. They really do have all the different paper supplies. They have more specialty items for paper craft. You know, they have, I'm not sure you would find at Punch, maybe you would, but something like this you would find at Michael's. Boy, I'm really sorry to hear that about AC Moore. Yeah, it's limited in Sussex County. I actually, I don't know what RJ Mars has. I think, as far as I know, the best options are out of the county. The other one that I haven't.
Rockaway Mall.
Oh, what's that?
There's a Michael's at Rockaway Mall.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's not too far. That's okay. That's a good one. And then there's Hobby Lobby. I believe there's on Route 46, kind of east of Wayne. I haven't been there yet myself, but I think they're also very good. So yes, in Sussex County, I'm trying to think. I don't really have, at this point, I don't have any other places in Sussex County. I used to go to AC Moore, but if they're not there, I don't know of any other place in Sussex County, unfortunately.
I have a question, and I'm sorry,
Sure.
it's a backtrack kind of question. My pop-up is not lying right in the card, and I'm not, I think I missed a step.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Actually, I did try to see how much, yeah, let me show you the pop-up. So the basic structure of it is from the template. So you would start with this,
Right.
and you want to see that the lines, the cut lines, are going straight with the page, edge of the page.
Okay.
So if they're not straight, then it'll be off a little bit. So hopefully the cut lines are lining up with the edge of the page. And so then you're folding. This is the template for one card.
Right.
So you fold it in half. Then you cut each of these lines in. The top is a 1-inch box, then a 1 1/4, then 1 1/2. So you're folding each line like this. So you have 3 box shapes.
Okay.
And then, you know, as much as possible, you're folding the box so it's straight with that top of the page. And then you're making creases inside. So each box, do you get the box design?
Yes, I have that.
Oh, okay.
When
So then after that, yeah, I actually haven't gotten to gluing it in yet. But yeah, basically this would go in on the sample. I did it, see now this is one thing, that this height of the template is not the height of the card.
correct.
So yeah, so what I did here is I centered it. So it was even top and bottom. But if you make more of these in the future, you could definitely start with a larger template, start with a paper and cut it. We just did it this way in the kit because it was easier to make the copies and use the dimensions. But you could start with a template that's exactly the height of your card. But anyway, so you have these boxes, and then you are putting it so the boxes, so when you're folding it, the boxes will open. So it actually needs to be inserted like this. So when you glue it in the card, you glue it like this. So you have the boxes folded in. You're attaching this side, again with double stick tape, glue stick or glue. So all of these white strips will get attached, and then the same on this side. All of these strips, so you don't want to attach the box itself. They need to fold out.
Mhm.
So when you're attaching it, you make sure the boxes are folded toward you, and then you're attaching the rest of the white strips onto the card. So I hadn't really gotten to that part yet, but that's how the pop-up works, is only the white strips get attached. Do you
Thank
see
you.
that?
Thank you.
Sure. So yeah, so now we'll get back to, this is the by now the glue has dried, so enough where we can twist this. It's kind of fun just to give a little bit of life to the thread. You give it a twist and now it's gonna have more of a shape. So you can twist it and put the loop where you want, right over the box. And now we'll be gluing down the other side, straight down the center of the other side, and then up the back. So now is a good time to make a cut. Like I can see this thread, this string is a little too long. I don't need it to be that long. So you want to cut it so it's going to come up the back. It only needs to come up part way. So now get your glue ready. So now for this, it might actually be easier to put the glue on the box. So you have a twist on the top. Then it's just going right down that side. And maybe let it dry for a minute before you do any more, just so it's not all flopping around. So yeah, that's basically the shape. Then this will come up the back. So that's the last part of the gluing, is the string coming up the back. And that's it. So now you have all the design elements done for the card. Now I'll show you putting it together. So this is, yeah, maybe let it glue, let the glue dry a little bit before you fold that card up. So now the design is you're taking the front card that you finished, and now the boxes, and then to insert it, you're folding the box so it's folded shut. And so the boxes will be folding out toward you. So this is how you're inserting this and attaching it to the card. And I think I'll use glue for this. So I think for it to really stay in there the best, the glue will be going on every strip, just so they stay in place, so they don't start folding out toward you. So you're putting the glue on each of the strips, and you can do one side at a time. Glue one side and then put it in, and then glue the other. And again, I'm trying to get the glue out to the edges as much as possible, just so you don't have the edges coming up. All right, so now this is going, so that this insert is folded, and now it's going in the center. You can line it up. And now bring the card down. So you can see it's in there correctly. And if it's glue, you can still, you have time, you know, to move it around a little bit where it needs to go. So these, the end of the strips are going right to the center. And then just watch, you're trying to line up the bottom. Sorry, I kind of messed it. This should be larger. I cut this to show, I shouldn't really have cut that. This really, I'm sure yours is going all the way out there. So, yeah. So, I'll use this. So, this is really the shape that's getting glued in there. This is going out to the edge. Sorry, I used that small one. That's very confusing. So this is the shape that's getting glued in. So you put glue on the strips and out to the edges, and then have the boxes folded toward you. So you glue down the one side, so that's attached, and then do the same on the other side. So now you have that side down. And then do the same on the other side. So adjust. So as much as possible, the insert is lined up. Straight along the edges as much as possible. And then glue on the other side. So now we're adding the glue onto these, just like the same as before. So the glue is going on each of these strips. And then out to the edges. And then I usually just use my finger and try to smooth it out. And then you close the card. And now that's glued on both sides. And then you can flatten it out. And that's it. That's the, now the card is done. And like I said, I just, you know, since they're gift boxes, I just had a greeting using the word gifts. Does anybody have any questions about that final putting it together? Okay, great. And let me just show you the last thing, just another option for design. I think you probably have some extra paper in the kits, and yeah, the craft stores you can easily find. They sell packs of the white blank cards. And so if anybody is making more cards, I was just wanted to show, just to end, with some other ideas. So I had shown this one before. This is pretty similar. So now I just used red. This could be red construction paper, you know. You can use cards, you can use craft paper, give it a more natural look. You can use glossy paper, make it look a little more modern. For this tree, instead of these original trees have the snowflakes. So for this tree, I put a crystal. So you actually have those two crystals, and you'll find more of those at the craft stores. but that's what's on the top of the tree. And so it really doesn't take too much just to make a nice card. You know, obviously the insert is optional. Most of the cards I've made just have the front. I've never done a pop-up card before. So most of the cards I make just have the front design and the blank is inside. Inside is blank. So yeah, it's fun to play around with and just come up with designs. This one, so these cards were the portrait. This is a landscape type of card. So this one is just, again, simple design. This has the gold paper in the back, snowflakes, 2 crystals on the top. This one I found corrugated green paper. So that's one card. And then another one, as you can see, I tend to stick with simple designs. This is a candle. This has the gold foil paper, just red in the background, and the gold paper for the top. And to add even more to this, you could add some crystals, decorate the center, maybe have 3 crystals going down the center. One thing you'll see a lot, Sparta, there used to be a Sparta stationery store that was great. They left about 10 years ago, but I took classes there years ago. And one thing you'll see a lot with handmade cards is layering. So, I mean, you could easily just have an image right on the card. You know, that would be the simplest. You just have the tree right on the card. But the most common thing in handmade cards is to not just have it on the card, you have it in layers. You know, you have this tree, it's on a colored background, and then you add layers even more behind it. And it just helps frame the image. It adds interest, brings in more color. So I would keep that in mind too. If you make more cards, layering, and it's not hard to do, and it just adds a lot. That's a typical type of design for a handmade card. So anyway, does anybody have any questions? All right. Well, that's all I have for today.
Thank you
So
so
this-
much, Alice.
Oh, sure. That was, I hope you